Huh. I okay, hold on. Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay, alright. You know, it's been a long time since a soap opera has made me speechless. Made me feel like fool. Like I got egg on my goddamn face. Let me tell you something. You know what I'm talking about, right? We all saw this at the end. And sat there, and when people was like, I think Willow did it. I'm like, what are you talking about? You people are crazy. I practically lost y'all mind. Listen, I get it you don't like Willow, but I mean, come on. Seriously? She couldn't even get out of bed. I really wish I had a clip of me saying this saying that shit. Okay, this episode was messy. Okay, we I cannot believe that Willow was the one that was moving the goddamn baby around out of revenge. This chick done literally lost her goddamn mind. I sat there and defended this. You know what? Okay, let's just go. We're gonna start off with Sasha first. Okay. Yeah, clearly I have some stuff I gotta sit there and say about Willow. But Sasha, mm, no, no, you're not exactly, no, because she goes in the room, she finds the baby missing, and she's telling Michael, the baby's missing, and Michael gets the cops involved, and they search the house, and Olivia and Ned, and they find her, in the living room. It's like, what are you talking about? I was just there, right? So now Olivia's not there thinking it's postpartum depression. There's a point where first of all, she's like, where's my baby? Where's my baby? I was like, girl, you didn't just give birth to this child asexually. Okay? I know you're panicking and everything like that, but like, it's the thing that irritates me besides the it's my baby part. And you know what? I can even give her a pass for that. Because, okay, listen, you're frantic or whatever, and that's just comes out of your mouth. Okay. But then she'd sit there and tells Michael, all the stuff that was happening. The baby being switched around and moved and clothes changing and things turned on that it shouldn't be. The baby's missing, and you just now sit there and tell him about this information. He's supposed to be able to trust you. You just sat there and was judging Willow like there was no tomorrow. And you just tell him this information now? Really? Find the baby. And Chase, it's like, I'm going to get, Michael's like, I'm going to get my own team to come out here, do a sweep, make sure everything's good. Chase, like, if you find nothing, he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to sit there and protect this child. Chase is like, even from your own mother. I mean, even from her own mother. Like, he kind of said what I was saying. Now, obviously, she doesn't have postpartum depression. Willow is just finally lost it. I mean, she just lost it. She's it's amazing the way that the writing is, right? Drew Cameron when he first came on, people didn't like the change, you know. I get that. People felt like, oh, his story was kind of boring. People felt like Willow's story was kind of boring. So they turned them into people that just disgust a lot of the fans, right? And what Willow did today was just like, wow. You know, even when I was trolling and I was like, Drew's a good man, Drew's a good man. He did that to Wally. I was like, God damn it, you know what? I can't even troll about the situation at this point. But Willow, I feel bad for her. She lost her child. She's a mother, and that's the bond and everything like that. And then she does some shit like this. I'm just like, mother. Yeah, y'all gonna make me out here in these streets, making me look like a goddamn fool. I always sit there and tell them, screw it. I cannot get over what she did. Um, okay, you got Alexis. No, no, screw Alexis and Christina for a hot minute. Let's get to the two jackasses, the other two jackasses, and that is Brooklyn and Lulu. See, I know people have been like Team Lulu, Team Brooklyn. I sat there was like, both of y'all look like a pair of idiots. Brooklyn made a valid point where she said that, listen, with the whole Rocco thing, everyone knew except for Rocco. So he was eventually going to find that out. With Gio, nobody knew, but you kept pushing. And she sat there and said, well, somebody, I had to get to the truth and he needed to know. Okay. Well, so did Rocco. Rocco needed to know. Lulu coming at her with all this fire and being like, um, you hurt my child and everything like that. And she was like, hey, listen, I left the papers out there by accident. I didn't mean for that to happen. And she genuinely didn't mean for that to happen. Just like you genuinely did not mean for Gio to find out the way that he did. But what did you do? You sat there and you grilled Lois. Now, Brooklyn, you didn't mean for that to come out the way that you did. Okay, you didn't mean for him to sit there and know the truth. Now you could sit there and say, you know what? Just like Gio needs to know the truth, Rocco needs to know the truth. Just not the way that you intended it on. Which is really ironic because she literally did sit there and say, hey, I'm just gonna leave these papers by accident and let them find out and even Steven. But she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm better than Lulu. But you're really not. Both of what y'all did was out of revenge and maybe this sense of righteousness, you know? At least with Lulu. But it was also revenge. And with Brooklyn, it was also revenge. So, while Brooklyn, and that's another thing, Brooklyn sat there with that look on her face like, oh, you hit me. No. You smacked the taste out of Lulu's mouth not that couple weeks ago. So we're not going to sit there and be playing the victim now. Nah, boo-boo. You don't sit there and get smacked. You don't sit there and smack somebody without expecting to get smacked back. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not on either one of them sides, and it was very laughable, and they both looked like a pair of jackasses. Until Gio came in, he was like, "What's going on?" And then that's when Lulu was like, "Oh yeah, let me sit there and tell you what Mom Dukes did. Tells them all. Tells them all of it." And then she leaves, and at that point, Gio's like, listen, this was a mistake because now you done hurt Rocco. You hurt my brother. And he found out some devastating news. He's much younger than me. I can't message you at this point. He walks off. And she's upset. She's crying. And she's going to sit there and try to come back at Lulu even harder. And what is Lulu going to do? Well, you get the gist. Now, while that's going on, Rocco learns another side to Britt from Jason that, she helped him out. She was also really sad about giving him up, even though she knew what she did was wrong, and should be very proud of him for the man that he is today, right? And then he leaves, and then he runs into Lulu, and he tells Lulu, "Hey, listen, Rocco had questions about Britt, and I gave him my version, that she was good and she changed her life and everything like that." And Lulu was upset, but Jason was like, "Nope, he need to know that side," and he walked off as he should. Um, now you're gonna have to go in there and you're gonna have to sit there and deal with the fallout. And let's be very clear, Lulu. Gio don't want nothing to do with Brooklyn. At least your son is still talking to you. Yeah, that was a shock to the system. But he said he's not upset with you. He's not really fully upset with you. He just didn't like the way it came out. Girl, count your goddamn blessings. Like, seriously. And the fact of the matter is, anybody at any point in time could have told him by accident. So, man. Now, Mac makes Molly feel awkward by trying to get, um, you know, push Cody on her. And then he does it again by inviting them both out to dinner. And Felicia already was like, "Hey, listen, don't listen to him. He's just a proud dad and everything like that." And part of Mac's reason is to sit there and say, "Well, maybe Molly would be good for him. Maybe Molly would sit there and straighten him out and everything like that." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. It is not Molly's job to sit there and straighten out your son. Okay, that doesn't work, and it winds up backfiring when you want to sit there and try to fix a man or a woman or whatever. Just doesn't work." I get it. You missed out a lot on his parenthood and everything like that and him growing up, but no, she's not his answer. For that reason. For a second, I almost read Sarah. It was like, nope, wrong show. Um, okay, so Nina goes to talk to Ava, and is talking about how Drew's away, and so she gets some time with Willow and stuff like that, and hope that something happens to derail this wedding, right? And then towards the end, well, also Ava's not there talking about Rick and him lying and kind of hanging out and whatever with Liz, but he's not fully cheating, and she doesn't want to give up on him because he's fun and he's good in bed or something like that. So she wants to, I guess, kind of fight for Rick. Um, and so Nina leaves, and she's waiting and waiting and waiting, and eventually Willow does come. Willow's like, "Oh, I was in traffic," and then she's like, "No, no, no, I wasn't there talking to Drew because I just miss him so much." And Nina's like, "Oh, that's great. Not only did you make me wait for a long time, but you made me wait because of Drew." In all reality, she is not there thinking about where she really was, where I'm still just baffled as about the whole goddamn thing, but okay. Um, wow, I really did not see that coming. And this isn't really, I mean, I don't know if you can call this a psychotic break, but I do feel like it is a need for revenge. But she used a child to do it. Like, god damn. I'm like, I know that, he has your children right now and you're upset with Michael and stuff, but like, you would sit there and think as a mother that you would not be using somebody else's children as a weapon against them, but well, I guess you're not really that much better from Drew. Maybe they deserve each other. So weird me saying that. And I would have never said that like months ago, but times certainly have changed. Oh, Sitwell is egging Marco on to, because Marco was like, I don't think it was an accident, you know, um, especially that whole thing at the church and, people sitting there saying like it was a really awkward, awkward confrontation or whatever. And then Marco, because I'm like, bro, why are you sitting there, like, why is Sitwell egging him on to sit there and think that Sonny is the one that offed his mother? And then he says that, Natalia told me about Sonny's heart condition. And if Natalia told me about it, maybe Sonny found out and was like, nah, girl, you gotta go bye bye. You gotta go night night. Um, he's like, listen, I will sit there and take care of Sonny. And Marco's like, no, we will sit there and take care of Sonny. I'm like, damn, you can even sit there and honor Natalia's dying wishes of not getting your son into the family business. It doesn't end well. It really doesn't. Um, Now it seems that Alexis is more on board with it seems that Alexis is more on board with Molly what Christina's plan as far as seducing Ava and getting them to divide and conquer and stuff, right? Um, and she also does still sit there and make excuses because she's like, listen, I feel really bad for something that they're getting us caught up in this jam, and Alexa's like, listen, I get it. You just lost a child. You fell out the window. You was pushed, beyond your breaking point, and it happened. I'm not condoning it. It was like, you're not condoning it, but you sound like you're just saying, well, I understand why you did what you did. Like, it's like you're not condoning it, but you're making excuses for it. Like, it's still wrong what she did. But, listen, I guess in the sense you can kind of sit there and do that. Because in all reality, she did that to Kiefer, right? Alexis hit Kiefer with her car because of what Kiefer did to Christina. And I know this sounds bad, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with what Alexis did to Kiefer because Kiefer was just a terrible subhuman being. But I bring that up because she was pushed to her breaking point, and it wasn't right what Alexis did. I don't want to sit there and like, it wasn't right. I understand it. It doesn't. It is not right what I'm saying, but um, yeah. So that happens. Rick comes over, and Molly and Christina does not lose her cool. She sits there and says, "Hey, listen, Molly isn't here. Rick is does this fake. Oh, I'm so glad that you're alive and that you didn't get caught up in the fire with Sonny's nonsense." And Alexis is proud of Christina for keeping her cool and not going off. I'm like, I don't know how much that is to be proud of. Like, your daughter is a grown ass adult. Like, she should be able to manage her emotions a little bit better instead of flying off the handle like some 12-year-old little girl. Um, Now, Rick, Jesus Christ, Rick came from Liz. Well, Rick came from seeing Liz and Portia and asking Liz out to some art gallery thing or whatever. And then he gets a text from, I guess, Ava? So he gets down there. Oh, he gets a text. That's what it is. When he goes down to see Ava, he's like, listen, you spent a lot of money. You overdrew the account. And, people want to sit there and start noticing and checking and stuff like that. And it's going to be a problem. I don't want to go to jail. I don't think you look good in art. You need to cut that goddamn spending. Ava confronts um Rick with the truth as far as that time where he said that he was at Beach's Corners or somewhere, whatever. He was really sitting there hanging out with Liz. And while Rick is like, listen, it was innocent that we're just friends or whatever. Ava's like, it's not about that. It's about the damn lie. And I get that. But Rick is like, listen, my little white lie is it's it's insignificant to the fact that you spending money and we can wind up getting caught. But they do want to squash it or whatever. Um, Not before Cody comes in there, and Rick is kind of taken back, like it's kind of late, like what's going on? But he leaves. Cody starts his, I guess, seduction or whatever. And all he does really is starts to measure stuff or whatever and starts putting stuff together. And then he kisses Ava, and Ava's like, "Nah, we can't do this. Like, um, this can never happen or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, it was okay." Um, I'm like, I don't know if you noticed, like, that's I'm like, bro, have you ever actually seduced a woman before? Listen, I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm Don Juan, but like, he just went straight for the kiss. There was no seduction. There's a method to us that. It's like he just said, "Skirt," just straight up planning one on her. Anyway, he's like, "Nah, it's cool. I misread the situation." He gets back to work to sit there and hang up her stuff. Um, oh, and Portia does sit there and say that she's gonna fight for her marriage or whatever. Liz, I really do feel like she is kind of leading Rick on, even though she asked Lucas, and Lucas like, "Nah, you're just being a good friend or whatever." Because one of the things she does sit there and say is, "Listen, he makes me laugh, and we're good friends and everything like that." But let's be honest, you know damn well that Rick feels something more for you than just friendship, right? There are certain people you just can't be friends with. Okay, you can't be friends with because they're never just going to want to be friends. They're just not. And that's fine. But he may sit there and say that he wants friendship, but like, bro, dude's not there asking you out and just waiting for an answer until he got a call that was much more important at the time because, Ava's spending too much money. That's the only way. And like Portia said, that's the only thing that peeled him away from her. Like, don't play the whole he like you like oh like damn well he's into you. Don't play that game because you are something misleading him if you don't want anything more. Oh, well, we can't go down that path. Well, then just shut that shit down then. Do that instead of what you're doing right now. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I'm going to do my best to sit there and go live stream tonight because we got to talk about this. And we got to talk about the other soap operas as well. So I'm going to I'm going to end the video here. Then I'm going to go and get something to eat. Then I'm going to sit there and finish watching these other two soap operas. And then we can sit there and get ready for the live stream tonight. I'm going to say 9 o'clock, but I'm going to try to make it a lot earlier if I can, depending on, you know, depending on how long it takes me to get through the episodes. Which is just two, since I watched The Young and the Restless last night before I went to sleep. So, with that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.